Alrighty, mateys, welcome back to Klepto Stash. It's time for a bit of pontification. There's been so much discussion, yes, discussion, on Linux and the rest of them in general. And so, I'm gonna weigh in. I don't weigh much, but I'm gonna weigh in. First, let me give you a little history. Um, Once upon a time, long time ago, I was a nerd. No, that's not how it goes. Once upon a time, long time ago, um, I was at my dad's place of work. Can't say where, but let's say there were lots of safes, there were lots of machines, and I saw this terminal, and it had little red and black screen with little stuff scrolling. So I say, what's this right here? And it says something about its System V. System V? I'm intrigued now. Curious. Perhaps even nosy. I can't really talk, I'm all stuffed up. Perhaps even nosy. What's System V? Well, we use it for blah blah blah, for reasons we can't explain, reasons you don't have a security clearance. I won't go no more further than that. But this is called Unix. It's very useful to us. Not many of us know how to use it. Blah 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 blah. And so I started asking some of the techs about Unix, and I found it interesting. And this was in the 1980s, and there wasn't, when you look at it, there wasn't a lot to it when you look at it. Just some stuff scrolling, okay, that looked important, but I found it interesting, and I got my hands on a couple of Unix versions. Um, I toyed around with a little bit of Solaris. I toyed around a little System V, a little this, a little that. I got into the BSDs, into NetBSD, OpenBSD, and eventually FreeBSD, Dragonfly BSD. And I was in a BSD for years until Linux came along. It was probably long before then, but I didn't know about it. So I heard about it. And I went to the bookstore. Linux bookstore? Huh? What's going on here, old man? What's happening? What's happening here? Yes, a bookstore. And so I went into the bookstore to find stuff on Linux. And there was this gigantic book. And it was, God, it had to be like 5,000 pages. Okay, it wasn't that ridiculous. It was 3,000 pages. And it said Slackware reference guide. I think I still have it somewhere. I know I still have my BSD and Red Hat reference guides, but Slackware reference guide, and you get some floppy disks to go with it to install it. Ooh, cool! I get floppy disks. Floppy disks are awesome. I love floppy disks. They you can put so much on them. They're so awesome. And so I buy it. Back then it was like a nickel. Most likely probably like $10. $9.99. That's what I think it is. $9.99. Today it would be like 30, $40 in Bonzo bucks, US dollars. Um, and so man, I get this thing, and there's no Google. There's no search engine. I think there was Archie. I think there was Usenet. The internet was not really as hot as it was, as it is. Excuse me. I'm drugged up for the reference. I'm on some stuff here, so I'm trying to get well. Anyways, I'm pontificating here. So, I got my floppy disks. God, like 30, 40, 50 of them. Insert disk 1. Insert disk 16. And I'm at it, and I'm looking at the thing. It kind of tells you what to do a little bit. If you don't know how to do something, you don't know what the hell that is, the reference guide sort of helps you, but it doesn't help you a whole lot. You really have to sort of figure it out and eventually get an inkling what you're doing. It's not like today, where Linux installers, for the most part, except for maybe Slackware today, Gen 2, Arch, you pretty much got to man up and know what the hell you're doing to use those, except for the GUI installers for like Antergos and Manjaro, what the fuck ever. Excuse me. So, I'm at disk 20. And I'm going to build a kernel. Oh, it's getting interesting. And I got my POS computer. I forget the brand. It was crap. It's a 386SX. Of course, that tells you a whole lot. 386SX. There was DX for double the goodness. And there was SX for single, the lack of goodness. And I fell asleep in between setting it up and building the kernel somewhere. I'd wake up. It'd be the next day. Seriously. No lies. Next day. Took 8 hours to build the kernel, to make world, to build the kernel. Took 8 hours of my life. Never to be given back. To build the whole thing, I think it took like a day or two. We're talking 1996, 1995, who knows. I'm old. So, I eventually get there, and then there's a hardware problem. I have to build the kernel again. There's some thing that I didn't uncomment that I missed. Okay, yeah, this is all done manually by hand. You gotta know what your hardware is. You gotta know what to enable, what not to enable. And somewhere along the process, days later, it boots. Ah, behold the goodness of Linux. And then I get a prompt. I'm just happy to get a prompt at this point. I'm just so thrilled. This is new. It's fresh. Okay, I think when I was younger, I had a Macintosh laptop that weighed 100 pounds. And it looked interesting, and you kind of can move stuff around, and it had a GUI and a window and things like that, and but it just came that way. But this, I'm building it, I'm making it with my own two very hands almost. So I get a prompt. Then I get to the whole X Windows thing back in the days. You gotta set that up, and then you gotta start it, configure it, da 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 da. Then you get a screen. Then it goes black. Then it goes back to the terminal. You gotta configure it again. Da 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 da. Then you get a screen. Then it flickers. Then it goes black and crashes again. You understand the process. Painstakingly, yet addictive process. Then I got a screen and a flicker again. And I'm waiting for it to crash, and I get this funny feeling in my gut like I'm getting angry, like I want to smash something. So, the mouse moves, and the screen stays still. And there's like two icons on the window. And it was beautiful. It was like seeing an alien for the first time. I've never seen an alien. Okay, it was like seeing something new, something fresh, okay? And something that I had something to do with for the most part. Something that tortured me for a few days. And then you're up and running. Then you got a continued reference manual. Oh, you can run stuff in this little window here? There's no talk of apps. Okay, no apps like today. I've got the Facebook app, the Twitter app, the Snapchat app, none of that, okay? There's applications. There's no apps. The applications would run if you're lucky. So, I learned, and I eventually got the process down to the point where it wouldn't torture me as much. Today, if you gave me those floppy disks and you gave me that reference manual, I might not be able to do it, to be honest with you. The new age of Linux has spoiled me for sure, and I've lost all of my uber Sith Lord skills that I acquired through pain, blood, tears, and sacrifice. And now I'm just a guy living in a GUI, loving it, running apps, loving it. And when it fails, I can fix it easily. And now SE Linux is annoying me with little oops, something broke. But anyways, back to the story. So I forget what kernel it was that I built. And I got my Slack set up and I'm installing packages and I'm just loving it, man. And people who see it, they don't know what the hell's going on here, but it's something important. Now, flash forward to today. It's 2015. Most of the world runs on Linux and BSD. You can't do business without Linux and BSD. Sure, you could go IS. Sure, you could go ASP like Hewlett Packard does, but it's a nightmare. And your website's crashy as hell, and no one wants to go there and do anything with it. Okay. So nowadays things are so easy. You have Google. How do I fix this crap, Google? Google says, "Oh, go to your Ubuntu forums, and they'll tell you what to do." And everything's easy, and you can find solutions. Go to the Arch Wiki. Everything's there. How to do everything. It's so easy. And it's so nice. And Linux has great adoption. It doesn't have excellent adoption. Because still in this day, in this era, of a very easy and adaptable operating system, you're going to have to go to the terminal. Eventually, you're going to have to go to the terminal. I remember being a sysadmin in a NOC, and eventually on NT5, you would have to go to the terminal. You would have to run a command in the terminal. It was very rare, but it happened. So in Linux, you're going to have to go to the terminal. Even today, to fix some things. It happens. Sometimes you boot your Linux up, and it doesn't boot. Maybe your drivers, maybe your GPU drivers or something. Who knows? Catalyst, whatever have you. It happens. So, for the people today, a lot of people, be them yuppies or whatever have you, hipsters, who have a lot easy time, and they're playing in a little small sandbox like a frog in a well, while we live in the great big ocean, and we're paddling along like, this isn't too bad. Now you could drown, but I'm loving it. I'm not gonna go jump in the well next to the frog and hang out. No, I'm gonna be in the ocean, swinging away, for the life of me. So, the reason why Linux is not as adoptable as it should be is because they have not dumbed it down enough. They've dumbed it down. Oh, for those of you who are old, excuse me, for those of you who are older, such as I, you can remember what Linux used to be like. There were a few GUI apps out there, and they ran halfway decently, and it was crashy, and it was pathetic, and I cried sometimes, but it was awesome. Now everything works pretty damn well. If you're on Ubuntu or something like that, then it's very rare you're going to run into a problem, unless you fuck it up yourself. So, the reason why Linux is not getting the adoption that everyone thinks that it is deserved to have is because they haven't dumbed it down enough for the unwashed masses. For the idiots who love their iOS and Apple products and just fork over their wallet every year for something new, we haven't sold our souls out yet. I say yet. Will that happen? I can hear RMS saying, he'll be like dead in the grave before that happens. I don't know about Linus, but RMS, no, you're gonna have to kill him. Okay, that guy. Hey, Linux, GNU Linux will not be selling out anytime soon, but maybe eventually. maybe eventually all the little hipsters and and whatnot will jump on it because you'll never have to go to the terminal. Everything will be fixable from the GUI, and to the most part, it's almost 70% there. I mean, I remember when I was a old curmudgeon, used to using Slackware, in the late '90s. I was saying that they were Fisher Prices rising things, the Linux desktop. They were making it too easy for people to use. And of course, I was right, but then I was wrong. We need more adoption. We still need to sell out as much. Sure, we can make it easy on you, but we want you to learn. That's the whole point of using Linux. And, that's the bottom line. Using Linux is great, but learning to use Linux and learning new things, and maybe learn a little bit of programming, and maybe learn how to fix some stuff, and maybe impress your friends, and maybe get laid. Maybe not, but you at least look cool sometimes to some people because you know how to do something. And I could go on this long tangent rant about people need to learn how to do stuff nowadays and have some more skills and services. Um, but I'm not going to. I'll save that for another time. But bottom line, Linux is awesome. I love it. You love it. We all love it. But it hasn't sold out yet. Okay? Babies are not swinging their hands on Linux tablets like they are, uh, iPads, and somehow, destroying a few brain cells in the process because when they've been using an iPad since they've been born and they're 3 years old and someone gives them a magazine and they're trying to use their fingers on the magazine to make it bigger when they could just bring it closer to their faces, they don't know how to do that anymore. So, we Linux users and BSD users, and BSD users are hardcore. Even harder core than we are. Okay? I'm going to be honest with you. We are the last refuge. Okay? And after the yuppies and the hipsters are tired of being raped by the corporations, they will eventually come to us. And when that time happens, I will be there as an old curmudgeon with my hand raised and my fist clenched and my lip bent down low. I knew we would sell out. And maybe we won't. There you go. Hope you enjoyed my little tirade rant / hopeful speech for the future. Enjoy.